drawing totally from the agriculture related expenditure, particularly the public expenditure. So we all know food system is going to get threatened. So using the existing system, bringing in the dimension of climate change, bringing in the time dimension, and the planning needs to be very much forward looking, but not undermining the existing resources and existing strategies. Traditional knowledge should not get undermined when we talk about scientific knowledge. How do we bridge that? How do we make sure that the communities, Atik was mentioning, the people who are so-called illiterate, that's because our education defines them illiterate, but they are not uneducated. They are much more educated about nature, about systems. How do we use their knowledge and link with the new knowledge that is being generated by people sitting here and outside? So I think a lot more existing institutions need to redefine their strategies. And when we look at the vertical integration, I think I'll just say this point and stop here, and so that other colleagues can also add. The strategies that are being made more in the boardroom, I think we have to shed a lot of arrogance and go back to the communities, go to the people who are getting impacted, who are also the first responders. Whenever there is a disaster, who is the first person to respond? Let's look at any kind of disaster. Is it really the military or the civil departments or NGOs? Who is that? It's actually the same community and their own institutions that respond first to that crisis, particularly the first 24 to 48 hours. If they don't have enough resources, if they don't have their institutions well equipped to handle such events and such stress, I don't think they'll be able to cope up with that, and we will have a very good strategy. So how do we change the entire planning process? How do we make it much more bottom up and strengthen the community institutions? And let's not look at it from the welfare point of view. I think it's their right. When we talk about human rights-based approach, we need to look at how we strengthen their institutions. How do we make sure that each individual, each human is able to enjoy the human rights that we all also aspire to enjoy and live a very much dignified life. I think I can come in later.
Thank you very much indeed. Punna, can I request you to pick up two of three of.
Thanks, Atik. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I totally agree with Peter's provocative statement to some extent. If I pick up the very first one, that is the sustainable adaptation is nothing more than the sustainable development. If we think about the sustainable development, as Singh pointed out, I am not going to define the sustainable development, but as far as my concern, sustainable development is a very slow process. And it is based on our traditional method and while conserving the natural resources. So my question is, I have a gray area about Peter's comment. Will the rate of sustainable development meet the challenge or dilemma of climate change? Because though the global warming or increasing ambient temperature is very slow, but the impacts are very fast. If you think about the natural disasters we are taking place in our region, Asia Pacific region, they are so fast. So then the question arising is, the development rate, the sustainable development rate will meet the challenge of climate change. So therefore it is time to think about the redefining of the sustainable development to face the dilemma of climate change. The other one Peter pointed out is the adaptation is existing disaster reduction and management mechanism. So there again question arises. The traditional or conventional disaster reduction strategies, again, sometimes is not the solution for climate change or such adaptation. For example, in our region, when a disaster struck, for example, if you take the drought, our most common and popular strategy, response strategy, is to give the relief, say drought relief or flood relief. So if these existing disaster reduction strategies like drought relief or flood relief will mitigate the impact of climate change. For example, I personally believe that giving drought relief or flood relief will not solve the problem of disasters. So there should be some mitigation strategies. If it is a drought, we have to increase the resilience of the community for drought. So giving subsidies or financial relief may not solve the problem. Therefore, again, we have to think about the second statement of Peter, that is the adaptation is existing disaster management reduction strategies. So I cannot agree fully to Peter's statement. That means we have to think beyond it. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Let me then move on to Nilufer, if you would kindly, that's a good example of timing.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Atif. And today Peter give us in some condition that how can we adapt those questions. Also he made so many questions. So there is also the problem for us to how to adapt those questions also. So our Harjit and then I think Purna already mentions, they touch the most of the question. But I am coming along, whatever his questions, it should be, we have to think about that globally. It's all the questions, how globally is we are thinking about, how we are regionally is accepted, and the nationally, subnationally, and the local level. So this vertical integration comes from internationally, nationally, local level. And if you think about that, who are the most affected people? Whatever we are talking about the adaptation locally, if science and then the political or the policy is not there or science is not that, but our local people is automatically adapted. How? Their adaptation is like that. They are moving from their own places to the different places. This is our adaptation, because they cannot cope. What we are seeing, like our area, I am from the Bangladesh, that this country is vulnerable to this climate change issues. So they don't know what is going on in the international talking. They don't know the national level talking, but they adapt themselves. Maybe they are the fishermen. They are losing their time to go to the sea. Maybe in the 3 months, within 3 months, they cannot go because of these climate change issues. And then again, if we come to the agriculture farmers, that's because of maybe they produce lots of their production was good for last 10 years. But after that, suddenly they saw that, okay, why is our production is going to be less? They don't know why. They saw that maybe either it is affected by the salinity or not, because this is terms it comes from scientific terms. They don't know what is going on. They had the suitable water, drinking water is very in last few years they knows that they can drink, but it's going to be less. They said, okay, what's going on? Why is the saline water is coming? They don't know. But we are talking internationally and scientifically. Oh, this will happen. But affected people doesn't know why is it happening. Who is to whom it is coming? Because some countries are they are doing for their best their development. We are talking about the development. So for their development, these people are affected. So the Peter making the question, maybe is the politically taking the decisions or sustainability, so many terms we are saying. But the question is how to adapt. That means scientifically, we need some capacity development. Maybe some countries. If you look at the least development country, they don't have the capacity, even the research. they need the fund. All from science to policy makers to the planning to actions. If you go to in this line, so we need the fund. Not only that, he raised some question that, okay, maybe some sociologist or agriculturist getting some benefit. But if they don't have the facility, how they will get the, how they will get this expert knowledge or whatever you were saying. So we have to think about that, okay, adaptation for few countries is different, adaptation for other country maybe is different, and it depends on the locality also. Some area is going to be the saline problem, some they are affected by the drought problem, some are affected by the cyclone or flood. So we heard from our moderator that there is some country have lots of water. Water is everywhere, not a single drop to drink. But why? Why? There is a question. How can we adapt ourselves? Can we change easily from this? It is not easy to for getting our life, more comfortable. That okay, there is no water, but how can we survive? I think that whatever Peter make the questions, we should come in the reality sense. I think that's all for my point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nilofer. Can I now request Hiroyoshi Kusaka to make your point, please?
Okay. Hi. In the past 20 years, the performance and spatial resolution of global climate model and regional climate model have been rapidly increased. So many regional climatologists have provided the result of regional climate projection to impact assessment to researchers and policymakers. However, I think there are still serious problems. For example, one of the problems in the downscaling might be the mismatch and or gap between the model developer and the users. Users means climate impact assessment researcher or policymakers. So policymakers and climate impact assessment researcher always need more flexible model setting and variable output, and they want reflecting their policy making into the climate change impact. So one of the solutions will be climate impact assessment researchers and policymakers operate the regional climate model and perform downscaling, and finally get the results about future regional climate projection by themselves. However, there is very big wall. They need supercomputer and knowledge about climate, regional climate at least. So we recommend the climate impact assessment researchers and policymakers to develop or use very user-friendly downscaling system, and they can operate such a system by themselves. If it's possible, if they can do that, they can reflect their own policy making into the climate impact projection